Welcome to the AC 24/7 Top Story Countdown. I'm Sonia Baghdadi. We'll guide you through the biggest headlines of the day. Our focus, advocating our rights, advocating health, and advocating Earth. Here's our pick for number 5.
The ratio of law enforcement searching for 34-year-old escaped inmate Michael Burham is now more than 200 to 1, according to Pennsylvania State Police. Federal, state, and local resources combing the area around the city of Warren, Pennsylvania, close to the New York border, too close to home for many.
Every night, you gotta make sure the windows are locked, make sure both doors, front and back doors, are locked.
Afraid for my family, and this is something you can't really fathom that we're really going through this.
Burham is considered armed and dangerous, and we ask the public not to approach him.
Michael Burham was being held in Warren County Prison on a $1 million bail. Less than 2 months ago, he was captured in South Carolina and charged with kidnapping an elderly couple. Court documents outline allegations of Burham's escape Thursday night, stating around 10:41 p.m., surveillance footage shows Burham and 3 other inmates in the prison yard gym. At about 11:26, he stood up on a pull-up machine, exiting through a metal-grated roof, the documents say, and using a rope made of sheets, he made his way to the ground and ran away, narrowly avoiding notice.
I would say that Burham saw red and blue lights within 2 minutes of leaving that jail.
Police say they've found some items they believe are connected to Burham. They're using DNA testing to check potential sightings and sending clear messages to him if he's listening.
We're not going away. We absolutely will be incarcerating you again. It's only a matter of time.
I'm Emily Schmidt, reporting.
You can stream the Advocate channel now. Download our Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, or Google Play Store app for instant access. The countdown continues with number 4.
Scorching summers may be the norm for Arizona's desert cities, but the brutal heat wave engulfing Phoenix and much of the American Southwest could be the worst on record. Cities sizzling under triple-digit temperatures with no break in sight.
This heat wave that we're experiencing right now can be fatal.
Firefighters are seeing a jump in calls related to heat sickness.
You should absolutely be leery of extreme heat like this for extended days, and that's what worries us, is the long periods of time where we just don't seem to get any relief.
At the Phoenix Zoo, relief for hippos and elephants came in the form of cold showers, other animals cooling down with frozen treats. Humans, however, are being urged to stay inside. Those who have to work outdoors are taking extra precautions.
Where is our access to hydration? Where is our access to shade? When are we planning to take breaks?
Heat is often an invisible killer. Last year, Maricopa County recorded 425 heat-related deaths, with most of the victims people experiencing homelessness and the elderly. As one of America's hottest cities, Phoenix created a first-in-the-nation city office dedicated to heat.
Heat is a really serious public health hazard. We don't talk about it as seriously as we should all across the United States.
To beat the extreme temperatures, the city has opened hundreds of cooling centers and water stations.
It's life-saving. I mean, people are not used to this kind of thing for this many days in a row. We have seen episodes like this from time to time, but this is one that's been extreme even by Phoenix standards.
A refuge that for some could mean the difference between life and death.
What would it mean for you if you didn't have a place like this to go?
It'd be death. I mean, you can't last very long out there, and most places to go indoors, you have to be able to spend money, and may not have that option.
TheAdvocateChannel.com looks at the world through the lens of equality and inclusion. Subscribe, like, and share now. AC 24/7's Top Story Countdown continues with our producer's pick for number 3.
Vermont remains under a state of emergency, and the downtown of its capital, Montpelier, was closed by local officials after more than 5 inches of record-setting rain fell there on Monday. A boil water notice was also placed on the city for safety concerns. Vermont Governor Phil Scott posted this image on social media Tuesday, saying he had to take a snowmobile trail to get to an open road because the streets around his house were impassable. He calls this storm system historic and catastrophic.
Floodwaters continue to rise in some places, like our capital city, and have surpassed levels seen during Tropical Storm Irene.
Vermont is among the states experiencing what weather forecasters call 1 in 1,000 year rain events, which, as its name suggests, have a 0.1% chance of happening in a calendar year.
We can't get anywhere. Everything is shut down, basically. You can't go south, you can't go west, you can't go east. Wherever you're at, that's where you are.
It's pretty bad. Like the doors to houses look like small windows.
In addition to the Northeast, parts of Oklahoma are also dealing with flood warnings. Authorities there say at least 2 flood-related deaths were confirmed Monday. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Like the Advocate channel on Facebook for the best way to get updated stories that advocate for equality, justice, our rights, and more. AC 24/7 continues with today's top 2 pick.
When Russia marched into Ukraine, hundreds of companies from other nations announced plans to march out of Moscow, hitting Vladimir Putin's government in the pocketbook and hobbling his war effort. But 1 year, 4.5 months after the invasion, some others are still doing brisk business in Russia, according to Yale professor Jeffrey Sonnenfeld.
These are companies that said they were leaving and then reneged, saying, it's too much trouble. It's wartime profiteering, and it is actually aiding, sadly, helping to fuel Putin's war machine.
His research finds although many companies followed through on their pledges, taking millions of dollars out of Russia, some big players did not. Among them, Heineken. Sonnenfeld's researchers say the Dutch company has 7 facilities in Russia, 1,800 employees, and is still launching new brands there. Heineken calls the war a terrible human tragedy and says the company remains committed to leaving, but so far has not secured Russian regulatory approval to sell its assets. Also on the list, Mondelez, the company that makes Oreos, among other things. With 3,000 employees and products still moving in Russian markets, the company is being boycotted by some Europeans, even as it said in a statement last month, it is scaling back in Russia. And there are more. Unilever has called the war brutal and senseless. Philip Morris has said the situation is complex. Nestle last year pledged to sell only essential items, but Yale researchers say non-essential items are still being sold. And all of those companies continue doing business with the Russians. Many suggest divesting themselves from Russia is more costly and complicated than outsiders might imagine, and they don't want to hurt their Russian employees. Sonnenfeld's response?
The whole point of the sanctions and the business exits is to put pressure on the average Russian so that the humanitarian thing is to motivate them to act.
Follow the Advocate channel on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated on stories that matter every day. We're now at our #1 story of the day. Take a look.
Behind the arrival smiles and handshakes, a high-stakes agenda is unfolding for the U.S. and fellow NATO countries Tuesday. President Joe Biden met with Turkey's president hours after that country dropped its opposition to Sweden joining NATO, a move that's considered a victory for President Biden, who wants to showcase a strong, united NATO to the world.
Completing Sweden's accession to NATO is an historic step that benefits the security of all NATO allies at this critical time.
The marquee issue Tuesday, NATO membership for Ukraine. At a concert in the summit city, President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked Lithuania, a former Soviet republic, for its courageous support of Ukraine's quest to join NATO. Meanwhile, NATO members have offered to streamline Ukraine's process for entry.
What allies have agreed today is a strong, united and positive message to Ukraine about enduring support, but also a positive message on the path forward for membership.
We agree on the language that we proposed, that you proposed, relative to the future of Ukraine being able to join NATO.
U.S. support for Ukraine's NATO membership and ongoing military aid are 2 topics sure to be discussed when President Biden meets one-on-one with Zelensky Wednesday. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.